I'm at the stall of MB Crusher, which is not just a stall, because they have a live demo area right next to the stall, and you will see some of the work that this outstandingly interesting machine does. And I'm with Piero Guizzetti, who's the CEO of the company. Piero, lovely to meet you again.
Pleasure to meet you once
we
again.
met 2 years ago at this very show.
Absolutely.
And how have things been with you over the last couple of years?
Thank you very much, first of all, for this introduction. So we have been constantly trying to improve our reach into the Indian market over the last 2 years. We've reinforced the existing distribution structure that we have. Plus, we've also expanded into some new areas. In the northeastern part of India specifically, we now have a much more granular distribution strategy.
Right.
Our policy, pan-India, is one dealer for one state because our product really requires a lot of attention.
Right.
It's a longer sales cycle, it's a new technology, so it takes a lot of convincing, a lot of visits to the customer, and we need to be very close for that.
Right.
So we have expanded our distribution reach, and now we can claim to be in all 29 states of the Indian market through exclusive dealer relationships that we have.
Wow.
Apart from Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, where we sell directly because that's our home. Our headquarters in India is in Mumbai.
Yes.
So we take care of that ourselves.
Right.
The business has been very good, both the past couple of years, and of course we are very excited to participate at this year's event, where we have found really an over and above expectation organization and platform here at BC India 2024.
Well, my colleagues back at the office will be very glad to hear that. But over the last 2 years, we've talked a little bit about the Indian ecosystem and how things have improved for you. But what is it that this show that you're hoping to get out of this show specifically?
See, for us, BC India being one of the only 2 events where we do a live demo, it's an opportunity for us to kind of shorten that sales cycle that I was talking about, where it's a little bit longer. And the main skepticism and the main concern of the customer is it able to crush the hardest stone and the boulder sizes that you're telling me you can crush 300, 350 mm and down and up.
Yeah.
So what we do as this event, we purposely take some of the hardest stones, some of the sizes where people are most keen to crush at 300, 350 mm down, and we show them that there is absolutely no issue. You can crush, and not only can you crush at 140 mm, you can set the output setting all the way down to 20 mm. So literally for a road contractor, there's not a multiple cycle, one single cycle, you're crushing with almost 15:1 step down ratio, 350 mm to 20 mm down.
Right. Which with normal equipment or alternative equipment, what would that cycle be?
So for example, with a static crusher, two-stage mount static crusher, yes, the capability of intake of the primary crusher of the two-stage crusher goes all the way up to 500 mm, but it is a two-stage crusher. So you have a jaw crusher which crushes to 140 mm down, and then you have a cone crusher which is fed 140 mm down to whatever output setting you have.
Right, okay.
So we can eliminate the 2 stages, or for large productivity requirements, so our bucket crusher usually can crush up to 40 to 50 tons per hour.
Right.
Wherever, for example, we're even finding an application in the mining sector.
40 to 50 tons an hour.
Exactly, with your excavator. So just imagine that, your excavator and your base machine, which up until today was doing digging works, was doing maybe some rock breaking works.
Yes.
We are literally transforming your base machine into a crushing unit, into a screening unit, and into a trenching unit.
All in one.
Capable of producing 40 to 50 tons, as you mentioned, which is quite an impressive number, directly at site.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we can even increase that productivity, because the moment you go for a higher output setting, the maximum output setting on this is 140 mm, the productivity will increase. So actually this year, we started even being the primary crusher for 2-stage 100 TPH static crusher solutions. At 140, we're able to reach even 70 to 80 tons per hour. So we're able to feed the cone crusher at 140 mm, which then takes it and crushes it in the lower output sizes requirement. So we're constantly also learning from the Indian market and finding new application areas.
Right.
This was one that was really an eye-opener for us this year.
Okay. So given that you have this presence, which is obviously extends to other regions as well, are there differences that you see? I mean, you're looking after South Asia.
Absolutely.
But are there differences in what the demands are from different parts of the world when it comes to crushing equipment?
Yes. So I can even say, see, for us, India itself is a continent. I come from Italy, where the population of my country is smaller than Maharashtra. So really, India, we already look at it as a continent where there are many different requirements, many different considerations.
Correct.
So the more you go in far off, difficult to reach areas like mountainous regions, so the northern part of India, the value for our product goes up, relatively speaking, because the alternative solution to our product is a static crusher, as we were mentioning before. A static crusher can reach productivities that are really high. But the moment your site is more than 20 kilometers away from a static crusher site, the transportation cost impact is such that material will be more expensive than doing it with our machine.
Right.
So anytime you're at more than 40 kilometers, 20 kilometers away from the static crusher site, we're relevant. And obviously in mountainous regions, in hilly areas, hard to reach areas, static crushers are less, the density of static crushers is less.
Right.
So the value of our machine goes up tremendously.
Right.
Also, rock characteristics of rock is also a big factor for us.
Right.
The main consumables when you're talking about our machine, but not only our machine, any crushing solution, is the jaw plate that is in touch with the crushing.
Right.
In southern part of India, we have a little bit of harder stone, so the consumption of the consumables will be a little bit higher.
Okay.
But again, that's not a weakness that we have. We're pari passu with the rest of the industry because they will also have a higher consumption.
Right.
Silica, abrasiveness is the main element that decreases the life of the jaw plate. But again, we guarantee 18 to 22% manganese content in our jaw plate, which most people in the industry would not guarantee. We guarantee that.
And that maintains the hardness of the crushing
100%.
surfaces.
So as a matter of fact, manganese has a very unique characteristic, which is that it's a self-hardening material. If I go with a chisel, when it's a brand new jaw plate, and with a hammer I knock on that chisel, it will give a small dent inside the jaw plate.
Right.
If I run the machine for 50 hours, and I try to do the same thing, that chisel will break before even putting a chip inside of my machine. So it's literally the more you work it, the more it hardens, and the more long-lasting it becomes.
Okay. So how did the company even come up with this idea? Because it's quite fascinating that there are many large companies around the world who make equipment for the construction and mining industries. But this seems to be almost has created a niche for itself. In fact, it's more than a niche. It's actually a part of the mainstream market. But you've offered a solution which nobody else seems to be close to matching. So how has that come about?
Absolutely. So you hit it on the nail, actually, sir, because the owner family, which started and pioneered the bucket crusher, the Absoline family, they were road contractors, third generation road contractors.
Right.
So being road contractors, they really
This is back in Italy.
Back in Italy, yes. They really had their hands in the industry and understood what could make my construction site more effective, more productive, where can I shorten the timeline for execution, for project delivery. And because of that road construction experience, they were able to also understand what is the base machine, what can I get out of the base machine, what is the power, the hydraulic force that I can get in order to get the power required to crush the hardest of stone in the bigger sizes.
Right.
So road contractors, they still have actually the road construction business as well, but in parallel in 2001, they started working on the first prototype of the BF90, which is the same model that you see here.
Right.
This is the 5th generation. That was first generation, of course.
Yeah.
And 2001 to 2004, we worked hard to get the first model right.
Yeah.
And then onwards, of course, we started diversifying, getting into other product categories.
Right.
To where we are today, which is 5 main product categories suitable for any excavator model, any brand, any tonnage. And as I mentioned, across these 5 product categories, you can trench with our drum cutters, you can screen with our S series, you can screen wet material with our HDS series, you can move material with our grapple, and you can crush material with our bucket crusher.
Literally 360-degree solution.
Absolutely. And we say, for us, the tagline that we use is we say, one machine, one operator, that same excavator with that same operator that you anyways need for any other solution.
Right.
Because if you have a static crusher, you need an excavator to feed the hopper.
Right. Yeah.
That same exact excavator, that same exact operator, we open up infinite possibilities and an infinite amount of new utility for the brand, for the same cost that you have, right? The only cost that you have is depreciation of the excavator, salary of the operator, and fuel consumption of the excavator.
Yeah.
But then you're getting so much more value.
Correct. And that's the key, it's just one operator. I mean,
one operator,
he
one machine.
Or she, but usually a he, I suppose, does it all, which requires skill, which is backed by training. Do you actually handle that as well?
Absolutely. So that's a very critical part of it. What we do is we spend a minimum of 3 days whenever we install any machine, and it's MB service engineers that go to the site to do the installation.
Right.
And we work with the operator to make sure that he does the minimal maintenance that we require, a couple of greasing points just to make sure that the bolts are locked in the first 50 hours.
Yeah.
Once the first 50 hours are settled, if any problems will arise in the first 50 hours, we make sure that the operator is trained to do that. After that, everything is smooth sailing beyond that.
Great. So this is, we could go on and on, but I do intend to ask a couple of more quick questions because
please.
What really fascinates me outside of the fact that this one machine is just multi-purpose and can do 100 different things at the same time, it almost seems like. But there are also opportunities we've talked about a little bit, But are there any threats or what you might see as being roadblocks in your industry coming up? Because we have this vision of 2047 of Viksit Bharat, etc.
Absolutely.
The Prime Minister has laid out a roadmap for the development of this country, but it can't all be good. There has to be some hurdles along the way. What do you see as being the big hurdles for you?
What hurdles actually, sir? Because we don't require any special permits. So, for example, vis-a-vis blasting, which is another solution that you could do for, as opposed to drum cutter and so forth.
Right.
We don't require any permits. There's no noise issues. We've done decibel levels. We can work in urban areas and so forth. I guess the only threat would be competition, if I may say so. But in terms of policies, in terms of regulations, I don't foresee right now that I can think of any roadblock. And I'm not trying to paint a perfect picture, but it really is. But competition is going to come for sure. And I think competition should be looked at in a healthy manner.
Yes.
I think that today we have worked almost on our own to really create the need for this product.
Right.
And for me, the more competition comes, the more the word spreads on the product category. And then whoever's the best will win the greatest market share, and that's fine. We're confident that we have a brand that can get the market share that we think we deserve and that we want. But enlarging the pie for me is very positive. Now, the one concern that I can say, the one threat, yes, that is there that's not related to policy is because we are going sometimes in very remote and far off solutions, and because we are dependent on the operator to also signal to us in a proactive manner problems that the machine may be facing, sometimes we're finding that we are reactive as opposed to proactive.
Right.
And when it's very far off, of course, it's difficult to service the machine properly. We don't have workshops if some welding needs to be done and so forth. So we are currently working on a solution where we will have remote capabilities to know where the machine is at all times, how many hours it has worked. So we have, very scheduled, we have a very clear and scientific now based on 12 years worth of data now in India specific data where we know after how many hours you need to replace this product, this component, this part of the machine. So we would be able to proactively, let's say we have to change the toggle board at 200 hours. With that system that we should be deploying in the next 6 to 12 months, we will be able to say at the 150th hour, let's go to the site and let's make sure that we give that piece of material there.
Right. So is relying on digitization, IoT and stuff like that to make sure that happens, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So we talked about the opportunities, we talked about the threats. Now we will come back to bauma CONEXPO. What are your hopes for this show? What do you hope to take back when you go back to Bombay and be able to process for the next 2 years before we're back here in 2026?
Yes. So, of course, for us, it's an opportunity both to understand ourselves where the industry is going. Because this is really the leading exhibition, the leading platform, not only for transactions, for selling, but also to learn about new technologies, what is going on, policy, budgets, allocation, and so forth. So, one is to increase the industry knowledge that we have, understand what our peers are doing in terms of where they're moving, which direction, to the products that are and many times in these events, you launch new products.
Right.
So through new products, if you know the industry, you're also able to understand what is the end use application area and why have they done this?
Right.
What direction is that under segment or that end use application going towards for them to have come up with this technology? So one is Gyan, industry knowledge, if I can use that Indian word.
Absolutely.
Industry knowledge.
I mean, you've been in India
18 years now. So
exactly.
50% of my heart is Indian, as I always say.
Yeah.
So one is industry knowledge. The second one is, of course, traffic. We like to get not only orders through the demo, so we're able to convert very high volume of the traffic that comes into our stall thanks to the demo, but also just getting the word out there. The brand awareness increases. So we're able to get somebody that even comes to our stall and just looks at our machine and doesn't necessarily stop. They will know about our brand now and they will go on our website and then you'll call us after 1 month.
Right.
So brand awareness is one, conversions is second, and industry knowledge also is very important.
Right.
And what I can say, if I can take 1 minute of time to just talk about the event, I want to say, I really want to thank the organizers at bauma because this year what we have, from the very first moment that we came here, the people installing the stall to the moment that I arrived as well, I think that you guys have done a tremendous job at really understanding and getting into the shoes and saying, if I'm an exhibitor, what will I need? What will be my requirements? What were my pain points last time?
Right.
And also from the visitor's perspective, so everything from the little things like the signage boards, everything is very clear to the help that we get. Response time is 1 hour. Any issue, any requirement that we had, you guys have really done a phenomenal job, both in terms of the infrastructure, the services that you're providing, and I think the traffic, if I was to judge on this first day, the traffic has, at our stall at least, has doubled from previous edition.
That's quite a big jump.
Very grateful for it and look forward to.
And thank you for your comments. I really appreciate that.